Have you ever wondered what happens when you just disappear from someone's life? No, I'm not talking about pulling back a little or taking a small break. I mean completely vanishing. No texts, no calls, no messages. You go completely silent. What would they truly feel when you're gone? In today's world, where people seem to think they can take others for granted, there's something powerful about flipping the script. What if you just disappeared? And when you do, trust me, their world will fall apart. Welcome to the most important video you'll watch today. If you've ever been in a relationship, friendship, or situation where someone has gotten too comfortable treating you like an option, this video is for you. Today, we're diving into something powerful. We're talking about what someone really feels when you simply vanish from their life. I'm going to walk you through 10 intense emotional stages that they will go through when you disappear. And let me tell you this, by the end of this video, you'll understand why sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to walk away and never look back. If you're ready to discover your worth and make them miss you like never before, drop a comment below saying, "I'm done being an option," because after this, you'll never be treated like one again. Make sure you stay tuned until the very end, because I've got a bonus 10th emotional stage, one that's crucial and you won't want to miss. Let's get started. Stage 1. The sting of rejection. Number 1. The sting of rejection. This is where it all begins. They never saw it coming. They never expected you to just vanish. In their mind, you were always going to be there. You were the one who put in all the effort, made the plans, and showed up every time. You were the one they could rely on until you weren't. When you disappear, it's like a brick wall slamming into them. They never expected it. You've probably heard the saying, "You never know what you have until it's gone." That's exactly what happens when you vanish. But let me be clear. It's not just about your physical absence. It's about the void you leave. You're pulling away everything that you represented. The comfort, the validation, the constant availability. The second you're gone, they feel rejected. But this rejection isn't surface level. It's personal, and it stings deep. It's the first time they realize they don't have control over you. People don't like to admit it. But when they know someone will always be there for them, they start to treat them like a safety net. You become an option, not a priority. When you vanish, you take away their safety net. They panic. It's like free falling. They suddenly realize, how did I let this happen? How did I lose control? This rejection will hit them especially hard if you've been emotionally available. They took your love for granted, thinking you'd always be around. Maybe they even thought they were doing you a favor by keeping you around. Here's the real kicker. They thought they were giving you crumbs, but in reality, you were the one holding the relationship together. So, if you want them to feel the sting of rejection, don't warn them. Don't tell them you're leaving. Don't ask for their attention. Just disappear. When you leave without an explanation, it hits harder. They'll be forced to reflect on their actions, and they'll understand loud and clear that you're done being disrespected. Walk away and don't look back. Stage 2. The void of missing you. Next, number 2. The void of missing you. After the sting of rejection settles in, they begin to feel something else: emptiness. They didn't think they'd miss you. They convinced themselves they wouldn't care. If they leave, I'll move on, they thought. But what happens when you actually disappear? That's when the void starts to hit them, the emptiness, the kind that gnaws at them. They go through their day, but something's missing. And that's when they realize you were the one who added meaning to their life. You brought energy, warmth, and emotional stability. Without you, everything feels bland. When someone takes you for granted, they assume you're just part of the background. But once you're gone, they realize you were irreplaceable. They might try to fill the void with someone else or distract themselves with work or hobbies, but nothing compares to what you brought to the table. They didn't appreciate you when they had you. They thought they could do better, or maybe they assumed you'd always be around. But the moment you're gone, everything changes. They start to miss the little things, the conversations, the laughs, the way you made them feel understood. They crave the small, everyday moments, but now you're not there to provide them. If you truly want to make them feel the void, don't leave any room for them to check on you. Block them on social media, delete their number, cut all contact. Every time they try to reach out and find no trace of you, the void will grow. Let them sit in that emptiness. It's a powerful reminder of what they lost. And trust me, the more they feel that void, the more they'll understand your value. Stage 3, the regret of taking you for granted. Moving on to number 3, the overwhelming regret of taking you for granted. This stage is deep. It's when they start to question everything they took for granted in the relationship. They'll wonder why they didn't appreciate you more, why they didn't make more time for you. It's a bitter realization that stings. They know they've lost something special, and no matter how much they try to deny it, they can't shake that feeling. They feel guilty. They feel foolish. This stage is when they realize they've made a huge mistake. And unfortunately for them, there's nothing they can do about it now. Alone. The thrill of being free fades, and they start to realize the real cost of their actions. It's not freedom at all. It's just loneliness disguised as relief. They might keep themselves busy, distract themselves with new people, or even convince themselves they're better off without you. But deep down, the regret starts to weigh heavier with each passing day. They start to feel the absence of what you brought into their life, the way you made them feel understood, supported, and loved. When they're surrounded by others, it's easy to convince themselves that they're doing fine. But when the day winds down and the noise quiets, that's when the void hits. And the emptiness they feel without you is unbearable. This is when they realize that the freedom they thought they wanted has only brought them regret. Their mind races, wondering if they'll ever get the chance to make things right, if you'll ever take them back, or if they've lost you forever. Stage 7, the desperation to fix things. At this point, the regret is at its peak, and the desperation to fix things sets in. They've spent time reflecting, processing, and understanding the damage they've caused, and now they want to make it right. They want to fix the mistakes, apologize for their behavior, and hopefully convince you to give them another chance. But here's the issue. The damage they've done can't be undone with a simple apology. The trust has been broken, and they've taken you for granted for too long. They'll start trying anything to get your attention, sending long texts about how they've changed, calling you in the middle of the night, or showing up where you hang out just to run into you. The desperation is palpable. They'll even act as if nothing ever happened, pretending everything is fine, hoping that they can skip the hard conversations and go straight to winning you back. But you've already started to move on. You've already walked away, and they're still stuck in the past, trying to recover what's already been lost. You have the power now. The more desperate they become, the more you realize how much control you have over the situation. Stage 4, the struggle with their own insecurities. As time passes and their attempts to fix things begin to fail, their own insecurities start to surface. They begin to question their own worth. Why didn't you fight for them? Why didn't you come back? They might even start to feel inferior, believing that they aren't good enough for someone like you. The struggle with insecurity becomes evident. The more they try to prove their worth, the more they feel inadequate. They start comparing themselves to other people in your life and wonder if they can measure up. They can't handle the fact that you've already moved forward without them. This battle with their own self-esteem is exhausting for them. They may even try to disguise it by being too cool or too busy to care. But underneath, there's a deep sense of fear that you might never want them again. They wonder, what if I'm too late? Stage 5. The intense regret of their actions. Now we've arrived at the heart-wrenching stage, intense regret. By now, they've had enough time to fully process what they lost and how badly they treated you. The realization hits them like a ton of bricks. They understand, with painful clarity, that their actions led to your disappearance. They'll remember the moments when they dismissed your feelings, when they didn't prioritize you, or when they took you for granted. And now they understand the consequences. The guilt is overwhelming. They wish they could go back in time and change the way they treated you, but deep down, they know they can't undo what's been done. The pain of losing you is something they can't escape. It follows them wherever they go, and every time they look back, it becomes clearer that they pushed you away, and now they have to live with the consequences. Stage 6. The final acceptance. Finally, after all the emotional turmoil, they come to the painful conclusion that you are truly gone. This is the hardest stage for them to face. It's when they accept that they've lost you forever. It's a realization that stings, and they finally understand the depth of your worth, something they should have known all along, but failed to recognize in time. They can no longer deny it. They know that you're not coming back, and they have no control over it. At this point, they'll probably start telling themselves, I let something great slip through my fingers, and no matter what they do or how hard they try, they'll never be able to recreate what they had with you. This final stage is where they learn the hardest lesson of all. They took you for granted, and now you've become a part of their past, someone they'll always remember but can never have again. Stage 7. Regret and the illusion of replacing you. In today's world of casual dating and quick flings, people often believe that moving on from a relationship will be easy, that finding someone new will be the cure for their pain. But as they soon discover, it's not that simple. You can't replace someone who provided real emotional stability, someone who offered a deep, meaningful connection with a shallow, fleeting hookup. And that realization, it knocks them down hard. Let them feel that regret. Let them experience the freedom they once thought was so desirable. Don't rush back when they realize their mistake. Let them sit in the emptiness of what they thought would be a relief, only to find out that it's actually just a void. The freedom they initially felt was only temporary, but your absence will linger, haunting them in ways they never expected. The desire to play games. Once the regret sets in, they start to panic. What they once took for granted is now slipping away, and they feel the need to regain control of the situation, but they don't know how. So what do? They play games. They might act distant on purpose, try to make you jealous, post pictures with other people, or share cryptic statuses designed to provoke you. They want to make you wonder what they're doing, to create a sense of uncertainty and tension. But here's the truth. You're not playing anymore. You've moved beyond these childish games. You've outgrown the drama, and you're no longer chasing or reacting. You're beyond the need for validation through petty manipulation. So when they throw these tactics at you, trying to bait you into reacting, nothing happens, and that drives them insane. They'll post passive-aggressive comments, exaggerate their happiness, or share subtle digs on social media, but it won't work. They can't manipulate you anymore because you're not giving them the attention they crave. The game only works if you play along, but you've stopped playing. And the moment you stop responding, they'll realize they've lost all power over you. Stage 8. The crushing weight of silence. Silence is a weapon, and it's one of the most powerful tools you can use. When you vanish, your silence speaks louder than anything you could say. The absence of your texts, your calls, your presence, It's deafening for someone who's used to having control. They'll start to question everything. All those times they ignored your calls, brushed off your messages, or took you for granted. Now they wish they could take it all back. Silence is torturous for someone who expects constant communication and attention. When you withhold that from them, they spiral. They can't handle it. In a world where instant gratification and constant connectivity rule, your silence becomes a deep anxiety. They won't be able to stop thinking about the fact that they have no access to you. The longer the silence continues, the more unbearable it becomes for them. Every minute without hearing from you feels like a year. Stage 9. The fear of losing you forever. This is where the real panic sets in. The fear that they've lost you for good. They once thought you'd always be there, that no matter what, you would stick around. But now, you're gone, and that fear hits them harder than anything else. They start to wonder, what if they've moved on to someone else? The idea of you being with someone new fills their mind, and the thought of it makes them feel sick. They can't stand the thought of losing you permanently. It consumes them. This fear pushes them to do things they never thought they would. They'll send messages apologizing, explaining how they didn't appreciate you before and how much they regret their actions. They may show up at your door, hoping for a second chance. Whatever they do, it's driven by one overwhelming emotion: fear. But by the time they reach this point, it's too late. You've already moved on. You've found your strength, your independence, and you no longer need them. They can fear losing you all they want, but it won't change the fact that they already lost you. Stage 10. Emotional independence. This is the final, most powerful realization: your emotional independence. When you disappear from their life, it's not just about leaving them behind. It's about reclaiming your own peace, clarity, and strength. For so long, many of us get caught up in trying to please the other person, in seeking validation from them, in trying to make them happy. But once you disappear, you begin to realize that your happiness doesn't depend on them. You don't need their validation anymore. You no longer care about their opinion, their feelings, or their desires. Your worth is not tied to their approval. This emotional independence is the most freeing thing you can experience. And the best part, they sense it too. They realize you're no longer the same person they once knew. You're stronger, wiser, more confident. They see that you've outgrown them, that you don't need them to feel complete. And that's when the tables turn for good. They're still stuck in the same old patterns, trying to manipulate, control, and win you back. But you've evolved. You've broken free from the cycle of validation, and now their opinion means nothing. You've reclaimed your power, and that's your biggest win. If you've made it this far, you've already proven your worth. You've shown that you understand the value of emotional independence, that you're willing to walk away from someone who couldn't appreciate you. And the best part, you're no longer tied to their games, their manipulation, or their lack of respect. Your absence is a lesson they will never forget. The silence, the self-reflection, and the realization of their own mistakes will haunt them. But you've found your peace, and you'll never go back to a place where your worth is questioned again. Stay strong, stay silent, and never settle for being someone else's option. You are your own priority now, and that is the most powerful thing you can claim for yourself.